comes in, we'll make. Yeah, good, excellent. I won't say much. I'll let Bonnie do all the introduction, and it's all her. So keep it to half an hour if possible, Bonnie. That's what.
Yeah, I'll speed through. I'll bring up the presentation in a second. I'll actually see if I might have to request permission, Lee, but let me see if this works.
Okay.
Can everyone see this?
Yes.
Let me just change it to full screen and let me know if you can we still see this?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
definitely. It's fine.
No worries. Yeah, so I'm going to talk about a few new releases that are from pretty much the last 12 months and some from this year, and one, in fact, as of this week. And with new release plants, there's sometimes what we call a soft release and a full release. So a soft release just means it's a smaller batch number. So there might be more limited supply, but then later on in that year or into the new year, there'll be good commercial volume. So I can let you know that. But we'll progress through. And just to explain, actually, before I go through, just briefly, just for anyone who doesn't know what PMA does, we are a plant licensing, marketing, and distribution company. So we represent breeders in Australia and internationally, and we help get their product to, I guess, commercial, or to a commercial volume and into the market. So we help them every step of the way by finding propagators, wholesalers, and then do all the marketing for them as well. So we sort of help with that channel. So one of the first new releases we have is a brand new coria, and it's got this stunning, really dark chocolatey purple leaves, which is quite unusual. So it's called Choc Leaf. You may have seen this. It came out late last year, so it's fairly new. It is going to be featured at the Melbourne International Flower and Garden Show by Nadia Cole, and it's going to be they're saying that they're expecting quite a draw to this plant because of how unusual it is as a coria. I don't think I've ever seen a black coria anywhere else in the world, so it's quite exciting. It comes from a breeder down on the peninsula in Victoria, and it features tubular flowers that are of sort of a salmony yellow color as well. But I'd say the main hero for this plant is definitely its foliage. It's quite compact, quite neat in its shape, as you can see in some of these end-use photos here. Doesn't require too much maintenance. It handles frost, and it handles cold and coastal conditions. So whenever we do a plant, we trial it all over Australia. So from Queensland right down to Tassie, so we can test all different elements. And so far, the feedback we've had has been really, really good.
We haven't got any images yet, Bonnie, apart from the front screen.
Oh, can you see the slide that's changed?
No.
Oh, okay. Let me exit out of main. Can you see this now?
We've only got the free. We can now. Yes.
Can you see this?
Yes, we can. Coria Choc Leaf.
Okay, so I'll leave it on this for a quick second.
Okay.
So this is the label. These are some of the quick facts about the plant, as you can see, and I'll quickly just change it over to the next slide. So can you see the photos?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So here you can see the flower that I was talking about, sort of that nice tubular bloom, but it really is about the foliage on this plant. That's the hero of it. And yeah, we've had a lot of positive feedback so far about this one. So we're quite excited. We think it's quite different, quite unique for an Australian native, and it's a brand new colour wave as well that people can explore in their garden. So fantastic for containers, for borders, for mixed plantings as well. So that's one of the new ones. Up and Away is a brand new syzygium that we've released. This has also come from a breeder down on the peninsula. And this is extremely skinny and very, very quick growing. So this is one of the initial photos of the plant. It's now probably another meter or meter and a half taller than what you're seeing in that photo, but it hasn't got really any wider. So it's a really fast, really good option, really good for people who have skinny spaces where they might have been putting capital pears. This is an evergreen option that they could use for skinny garden beds. Really nice new sort of color growth on this one as well, sort of like a reddy orangey color, and the flowers are quite pretty, the nice white color on these flowers too. So that's Up and Away. Runaway Bride is a brand new hydrangea that came out towards the end of last year in a small, very, very small batch, very limited numbers. It was a soft, I guess, launch. There's going to be really good numbers of this product at the end of this year. So it's not available at the moment, but you'll find coming into sort of the spring season, it's earlier flowering. And the biggest thing that is different about this hydrangea, it comes from a breeder in Japan. It's a garland effect of flowers. So right along the stem, you're going to have flowers all the way along. So it creates that garland effect of blooms. And it's quite hardy. We've once again tried it all over and had good success. It's quite quick growing too. You do get nice autumn color with this hydrangea too. It goes through sort of a nice orange and a red tone before it drops. So you get a nice autumn display. But this one's quite exciting. It has won a few international awards. It won Plant of the Year in Chelsea a few years ago. So it's a really nice plant. We're really enjoying it. And so far the feedback has been really positive too. So hopefully consumers will be wanting this in their gardens as well. And it can do full sun as well. Just make sure it gets good watering and has good soil conditions for it. And just a few garden end shots for you. So you can even grow them up with trellis, put them in a hanging basket, it will spill over. So there's quite a lot of different planting options for the home gardener with this one. Happy Dreams, one of the newest additions to the Dreameria collection by the Australian breeder Novabred. And this is a really interesting colorway. It's sort of a brick red, as you can see in the image here. Really prolific. It's got the nice, strong, thick leaves, similar to Sweet Dreams. This breeding program is over 20 years old. It's a massive dedication to the breeding work that's gone into this. The breeders are so passionate. There's plenty of colors still coming, but this is one that we're really excited about. It's just a nice, different option for people who like the more warm tone flowers. And they're great little border plants, fantastic in containers as well. But yeah, just a really lovely new color addition to the collection. English summer lavenders. So these should be around now, coming up soon. So these are from an overbred, Australian genetics, Australian breeding. So perfect for Australian gardens with these ones. They're nice and compact, really floriferous. So you get really good long flowering on these. And as you can see, the flowers are quite big on them too, which is nice for the Angustiflora types. Nice and compact plants too. They don't tend to split open or anything like that. They have a really nice flowering body on them. So as you can see, it's right from the edge all the way around. So you get that nice dome effect of color with these lavenders. So you've got two in this range. So this is the darker one, so the purple. Once again, as you can see, it's got a really high flower count on these really lovely plants. The Mona series.
Does the lavender have fragrant foliage like the old English lavender?
Yeah, they are fragrant. Yep. They are nicely fragrant.
Okay.
We have under our management, we've got the Mona Lavender. So now from the same breeder, so the breeder is out of South Africa. We've got 3 new colors that have joined the series. So they have the same, I guess, habit and sort of toughness that the Mona Lavender has, but we've got the suite of a few more colors to choose from. So we've got the amethyst, pink and white. So here we've got amethyst. It's a really pretty color, really nice. And the reverse on the leaf is a really nice dark purple. So you get that nice 2-tone foliage. We've got the pink. Once again, foliage is the same case. You got that nice reverse. And then we've got a white, which has a slight blush to it. And the foliage is more of just a pure green. So some nice additions to that collection that you should be able to get in the autumn season coming up. Ginkgo. So this is one of our plants that we manage. I believe Warner's may have touched on this last week, how it's going to be featured at the Melbourne International Flower and Garden Show. Just another really wonderful plant that's coming out of Europe. And the breeding on this is pretty spectacular, how you don't have such a wide tree anymore. You've got something that's quite column. It's really good as a substitute, once again, for like a capital pair where a lot of landscapers plant it down driveways. Doesn't have the aggressive roots or anything like that. So it's really good for those narrow spaces. But this is going to be heavily featured at MIFGS. So you might get a few inquiries on this variety. And this one is a brand new release as of this week. So this is the Cosmos called Cherry Chocolate. Comes from a breeder out of the UK. And what makes this different to the traditional chocolate Cosmos is that one, the flower is a completely new color. It's a nice fuchsia, really rich. And then as the flowers fade, they get a little bit lighter, but they still look quite graceful on the plant. They still have the nice fragrant, so nice chocolate scent to the flowers. But the biggest thing that is probably the standout about this variety is the flowers are a 7 centimeter diameter. So they're huge. They're really, really big. So they're a really nice piece for anyone who wants a container with nice color display. Now, with the Cosmos being a tubular root system, it will go dormant over winter. So the plant will completely disappear, but in the spring, it will come back up. So it is I guess, a forever plant in the garden. So it's a really pretty one. You'll see this once again. So this is its soft release as of this week. So there'll be limited supply, but there is going to be more later on in the year. But a really, really pretty variety. And then I guess this brings me to the PMA Support Center. So for all these varieties, we've got higher resolution photography that you can use on your social media, in store, online for your online shops. We have the plant story. We've got the breeder information for most varieties, not for all, but for most varieties. We have videos as well. So if you don't have a support center login, you can email me or contact me and I can help set that up for you. But it is a tool that is absolutely free for you to use, that you can get imagery on every single variety that we've looked at today, that you can use in store. There's also point of sale in there as well. So I'd highly encourage you to look at our support center. We're updating it all the time. And with new releases, there is a new release tab on there and you can see what's come out within the last 12 months. And there is going to be more later in the year, but I can't talk about them right now, but there is more new releases due to come. So that is the main suite of new releases for PMA at the moment. But yes, does anyone have any questions?
Who's growing the Courier chocolate?
So with the Courier, we've got a few growers in different states. So we've got in Queensland Black All, in Tassie there's Tas plant growers. For Vic you've got SAP, but you'll find that it will be available later in the year for Vic, if that was you, David.
Yes.
Yeah, so you'll probably find it'll be later on in the year that you'll get availability. But in terms of for growers, if anyone's really interested for any of these plants or for any PMA plant, you can email me and I can provide you all the list of growers, because sometimes for each plant we have multiple licensees per state depending. But yeah, just contact me and I can provide all the details for you.
Michelle, do you have a question?
I was just wondering who is growing the Cosmos cherry chocolate.
So at the moment, PGA have the main availability, but there'll be more licensees opening up later on. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
That's all good.
Okay, anybody else? No? Bonnie, you've just been all around the world, or maybe not quite, but you tell us where you went. I mean, go on.
Yeah, I just got back from Germany and the Netherlands about a week and a half ago, because there's a big event over there once a year called IPM, and it's where a lot of breeders and I guess growers all meet and discuss genetics and I guess opportunities as well. So we also have a lot of breeders internationally, as I said earlier. So, for example, Hydrangea Magical Revolution comes from a breeder in the Netherlands, and that's where we get to meet them once or twice a year. So, yeah, it's a really rewarding and very eye-opening experience to see all these new different plants, but sometimes you can't always bring them back as well. So it's a bit of a tease at the time as well.
Apart from these breeders you represent, I mean, I think Steve at PGA does some, doesn't he? Did he breed that earlier? What was that other first plant you had on the dark?
So Steve Steve and Howard from PGA, and they've got a younger guy as well named Jordan, really talented man. or do the breeding for PGA, which is a Nova bred, which is their breeding side of their company, and we are their manager for a lot of their lines. So like the Happy Dream, so the Dreamy area, the Lavanova lavenders, all Australian bred varieties, come through them. Yeah.
You represent any other Australian breeders at all, or is it all
Yeah,
international?
we represent quite a lot. We've got quite a big portfolio of breeders. So
Right.
for example, like Up and Away, the poster behind me, that's a breeder down on the peninsula, so peninsula growers. There's someone that we represent, but yeah, we've got lots of breeders that we deal with.
And what sort of trends were you seeing? I mean, these are mainly small plants apart from the ginkgo. What were you seeing around the world of what's maybe not
It's
in the breeding, but I guess if they're breeding, they must think they're going to be popular in the retail
yeah,
sphere. Did you get to any retail centres while you were away, or?
not this time because I was there for a shorter trip, but I
Mm.
was there in June last year, in the Netherlands and the UK. But it's interesting, a lot of their wholesalers or their growers are saying that they're moving towards more landscape hardy, but it sounds a bit biased because of the company I'm in. We do PBR, but it sounds like a lot of people are going towards PBR plants because usually they're a little bit more of a reliable plant, but also I guess that they've got guarantee as well with growing it. So there's a big movement towards that. But landscape plants tend to be, or shrub lines tend to be, sort of front and center at the moment. A lot of interest and a lot of breeding work going on around those sort of lines. So it can range from lavenders, it can range to trees, but it tends to be a lot of shrub lines that a lot of people are interested in.
And were they pretty positive, most of them, about the future of the industry? I mean, it's obviously different all around the world, but I
Yeah.
think people here are still positive. The weather causes plenty of grief at times, as James has already found out, and others, but
Yeah.
pretty positive around the world.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's almost as if they've completely forgotten about COVID. It's no longer really a thing or a discussion point. And I guess it's getting a little bit like that now here in Australia. But there was reports that it was quite slow of a season because of the weather. Once again, they didn't have normal weather patterns. And I was in Germany, 2 weeks ago, and that's usually their coldest month. And it was 10 to 12 degrees with sunshine. So it was really bizarre weather. Usually it would be heavy snow. So it's interesting. I think they're also feeling the patterns of the weather is changing. So it's affecting how things are selling or their timings. But overall, it's still positive. But I think where COVID was really, really high, we've now come back down to what they're calling the normal, which is what we're experiencing as well, I believe. So yeah, it's interesting. It's still very positive, but I think we're now back to a normal sort of routine.
Mm. And just to give people an idea, I mean, plant breeders' rights and a breeding program. I know David Austin constantly tell me to breed a rose. It's somewhere between 8 to 10 years, and I've seen the process a couple of times over in the UK. It's quite fascinating. The plants that you're getting, I mean, is that a similar timing? It's incredible, really, the time
Yeah, so
and the money that gets spent on doing this. So, to try and justify sometimes to customers why plant X is, $2 or whatever it is
yeah,
more.
definitely.
Something
And I
else.
guess with PBR, it's all about the breeder seeing a little bit of a reward for their hard work, essentially, because it is a royalty. But there would be, I always think about it as if I was a breeder and I spent 5 or even 10 or 20 years on something and I put my heart into it and then try to get it out there and see a profit off it or see it be successful. I'd probably want it protected because if it wasn't, then it means anyone can take the genetics. People unfortunately can steal genetics by doing that as well. So it means they never get the recognition. They never see the success of the plant in the way it should. And PBR is, it's about long term. You don't want to put something into PBR and then just see it fall away. PBR is all about the longevity of the plant in the market as well. So ideally, you want to have that plant be successful in the market for 20 years. And our Acacia Limelight, a very successful PBR plant that went 20 years in the market really, really solidly. So that was a really good success story. But yeah, PBR, I think it's a positive thing. It's for people to have recognition for their hard work. But a lot of our plants, some of them are what we call discoveries or a sport. So someone might go off and find it in the wild, and then it's a new piece of genetics. And that happened sort of the story with the runaway bride. The breeder went out into the wild and found a few different varieties they'd never seen, did some cross work, and then came up with some breeding. Some people discover a random plant within a batch of 1,000 or multiple thousands, and that's what you call a sport. And that's actually what Divana, our Phlebodium divana, was. It was a sport found in a greenhouse, and then they isolated it, see if it could be propagated and be stable. And when it was, they're like, oh, well, they've discovered something new. And then there's people that dedicate to breeding and crossing with different species to try and create something new. And a lot of genetics do come out of that way. And those programs can be, 10, 20 years, like a Dreamy Area program that's 20 years old. It's actually probably a little bit older now, actually. And same with Lavanova. So it's a lot of dedication put into them.
And will you have a specific area at MIFCUS with a display of your plants, or are they mixed?
We, as PMA, we won't, but a lot of our product is amongst a lot of gardens. So once again, like Warner's are doing it. You'll find that, a lot of our product will be sort of interspersed. So like lemon lime is probably going to be found in there as well. So you'll see bits and pieces of our plants around, but as PMA solely, no, we won't have a stand, but we will be there.
Okay. All right. Anybody got any questions for Bonnie? I mean, she's a source of information. I know you do a lot of posting on Instagram and Facebook. I see those all the time.
Yeah.
I hope as an industry we do a lot more. We've got such wonderful photos to put up in Instagram, and that's what it's all about, I think, really. But,
we're working hard on video collateral as well, because the world is moving more into a video space, as frustrating as it is, because photos are quicker, but they're just as enjoyable to create. But we are making as many videos as possible on as many of our lines, and with the purpose that they can be reused for many of you as retailers. That way they're not to PMA, they're more about the plant, so that way they can be used on like social media like Instagram and TikTok and things like that. So
So you mainly use Instagram and Facebook. Do you ever use TikTok or anything else?
We use Instagram, Facebook, we use TikTok, we use Pinterest. Pinterest, if anyone's not using it, is a really popular platform, and it drives a lot of traffic to websites. For us, we have over 25,000 people visit every month.
Okay.
So it is a good platform to consider. Because a lot of people use it to find inspiration and create, design boards. We also do YouTube. We're kicking that up a gear. We also are looking at LinkedIn, which is probably more of a B2B than a B2C. We also use Vimeo, but that's probably a bit more B2B as well.
Okay, all right. Anybody else got any questions? There must be some questions, surely. You're all very shy. Just close your screen, Bonnie, winks everybody, and shame them all for asking a question.
Let me do that.
They're still not going to ask a question, never mind.
That's okay.
No, nobody got any questions?
I do stress, if you have any PMA products and you think, oh, I would really love some point of sale in your retail stores, don't be afraid to ask your wholesalers, because sometimes they do have them on hand. Otherwise, if you do pose the question to them, they'll highly likely come back to us and say, we need point of sale, because we produce all the point of sale for any PMA product. Otherwise, if you want to come direct to me, you're more than welcome to. And if you ever have a garden event on, I know when I was working at Garden World, they had their spring launch. So if you have something similar, and if you ever need promotional material, whether it be flyers or printouts or anything like that, just reach out to me, because we're more than happy to help out where possible.
Okay, great. No, all silent? Well, Bonnie will be at the Garden Inspiration Group function for those garden centres who are going, and I see the people on the screen will all be there. James, unfortunately, we can't issue you an invitation, but anyway, it's
Never mind.
you'll get a report in my e-news somewhere along the way.
Okay, beautiful.
But yeah, but thank you all for attending, and Bonnie, thank you. Last chance for any questions. We're right on the half hour, or a little bit under, in fact. So I think it's been very entertaining.
Oh, good.
I hope you've all got over. I don't know who had power outages. James certainly did. I heard all about that, and there are a number of retail centres out who have been quite decimated, as you saw last week, Warner's, but they're up and running. But it hasn't really helped the industry at all, but it's the way it goes. So thank you all. We don't have any more sessions coming up. A couple of the growers, in fact, who had put their hand up have now said with power and everything else that's happened, they'd rather leave it. So we'll give it a few weeks and work out. In fact, we will try and get some New South Wales growers involved, and I'm yet to work out who, but we will start again, but we won't bring it into busy time in March, make the most of March and into Easter, but sometime after Easter, we'll start again. For those interested in one tree per child, Lisa's sitting up there. I think she's still there. She will be at the Garden Inspiration Group function as well. We will be able to show you a little bit more about the special handout that is going with one tree per child. We're quite excited about that. We will have some artwork very soon to put into the e-news. So thank you, Bonnie. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Bonnie,
Thank
you'll send
you,
me that
Bonnie.
link, and I'll email everybody with a copy of that, so you can look at the recording, you and your staff, if you wish, anytime you want. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.